153 fish. Do you think with everything else going on that morning, do you think they really counted them? I mean, some people say that 153 was the number of known fish species at the time, symbolizing that no one was left out of God's reach. Others say there were 153 nations in the world, symbolizing the ends of the earth to which God intended his message to be proclaimed. There's lots of theological explanations of the 153. Do you know what I think? I think John was just messing with us. And he thought, I'm just going to make up this number. That ought to keep him guessing for a couple millennia. I don't know. We get stuck on questions sometimes, don't we? Questions that really don't matter all that much, or questions that really don't have an answer. It starts when we're about 3 or 4 years old. Why? Right? And it just goes from there. But we keep asking it. Why do bad things happen to good people? Why is there so much division, so much violence in the world? Why do we think excluding others will just somehow make us better? Why do some relationships of love thrive and others suffocate under a blanket of jealousy and envy? There's a lot in the world in which we seek answers, right? But maybe a better place to start is with a different question. What if we started with this? Why is God so incredibly good and merciful? You know, the disciples had abandoned Jesus at the cross, and yet Jesus sought them out, helped them with their catch, fixed them breakfast, and then patiently waited for Peter to get his mind and his heart in the right place. Why? Why did Jesus entrust so much grace and gift and promise and power to those not always so faithful apostles? And how were they transformed from being this fearful bunch of men and women in the upper room behind locked doors to be these bold and courageous disciples of the risen Christ? And when was it that they began to see themselves one day as being part of that heavenly host who surround the throne of heaven? But perhaps the place we need to begin this morning is not so much the questions, but the mystery that leads us there, the real mystery to which we must view all questions, the Paschal mystery, the Easter mystery, the mystery that moves us from death to life. Because embedded in that mystery is how God takes us from our worst moments, from our darkest places of life, and with just enough light to get us past the darkness, brings us back to hope. The Paschal mystery, when this thing we call grace and mercy heals our deepest wounds, teaching us and helping us, leading us to move from sin to forgiveness, from chaos to peace, from boredom to joy, from the mundane to the sacred, from death to life. It all starts there, embedded in that Paschal mystery, celebrated in God's Word, the sacrifice of the Mass, and the gathering of the faithful. Maybe the questions don't hold so much power as they once did. In fact, maybe figuring it all out, understanding it all, isn't at all what God had in mind to begin with. Maybe the questions are just simply a part of that journey that can lead us deeper and deeper into that mystery of God's love. Because at the end of the day, Jesus asked Simon Peter only one question: do you love me? And in the end, the only thing he ever asked of him and of us is to follow him.